What is up, folks? Logan Scythe here. Today we're going over drum rolls. Specifically concert snare rolls, multiple bounce rolls, buzz rolls, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to break down the how-to of snare rolls into a few exercises over a few videos, so stay tuned. This way you have a practical way to practice and improve. The first exercise is going to allow your hands, fingers, wrists to really learn the right amount of pressure or squeeze needed to get the desired roll sound. How many times have you heard a roll that sounds something like this? Probably more than once, and it was probably you. And it was me at some point too, right? We're all guilty of it. There is one thing I do need to mention before we begin, and that is grip. I'm not going to get into it too much for this video. Again, stay tuned, but it needs to at least be kind of decent before you try this. So the key with a good grip is just firm enough that you still have control, but no death grip. This doesn't allow for any natural bounce, which is required. If you're playing something like Shostakovich, really intense, right? Sure, could be appropriate, but generally speaking, no. You also don't want it so loose that you don't have control, right? Oh no! And we're back. So, for the grip, I start with 2 fingers. You can actually play like this, and it's going to be your middle and index finger. Don't go too crazy with this, but you can practice with this, and it's going to help improve your control. But don't show up to a rehearsal or a performance saying that some dude on YouTube told you to play like this, right? It's just a practice thing. We're not quite there yet. Next, you're going to add your middle finger, okay? Just underneath here. So you should be able to see that. And that's going to act as a spring. As this bounces off naturally, this is going to control how much that bounces. So that's the importance of the middle finger. More on grip later, and these last 2 fingers, just don't worry about them, okay? The exercise. So I call this the 4 iterations. You're going to start with a good grip, okay? You're going to make sure that the middle finger is in contact with the stick, okay? Arm up and think forte or loud. And if you're asking why arm, stop asking questions. Just kidding. Good question, but we'll get to that later. Arm's the way to go. If you use some wrist right now, cool beans, nobody cares, all right? So, straight up, straight down, and if we're thinking dead center, just above dead center is where you're going to want to hit. So it's going to sound something like this. Okay, now I'm really squeezing that middle finger here. That's getting us essentially a dead stroke, right? Don't worry so much about the dead stroke, that it's like a perfect dead stroke, right? No bounce at all, right? But that's not what we're doing. We're focusing on the control of bounces, right? So, good. And you want every rep to count. You're going to repeat this for about 30 seconds. So take your time with it. And you might be thinking, but Logan, that sounds terrible, right? You'd be right, yeah, but we're only on iteration 1. We got some more to go, okay? So be patient, repeat 30 seconds, that's your right hand. Cool beans. Next iteration, number 2, you're gonna loosen up just slightly, and that's gonna get us a slight buzz, something like this. Okay? The only thing we're changing is how much I'm squeezing the middle finger here. That's all, okay? 30 seconds, right hand, cool. Third iteration, loosen once again. Genius, I know, right? This time you should get like a slight bounce. So you should be able to actually hear individual bounces, at least some of them, right? It's gonna sound something like this. Cool. Again, repeat 30 seconds, right hand, and you should really be focusing on that springy middle finger here, okay? Okay, last iteration, number 4, super loose. As open as possible. Try to have the bounces hitting on the same part of the pad every time. 30 seconds and maintain that middle finger contact the whole time. It's going to sound like this. Good. Make sure that it's not bouncing around the head. Right? Straight up, straight down. Also, don't lift before all the bounces are done. Let them do their thing. 30 seconds. Fantastic. Left hand, same stuff. Real quick recap. Number 1, dead stroke, real tight on that middle finger. 30 seconds. Number 2, slight buzz, just loosen up a wee bit. 30 seconds. Number 3, loosen again, slightly open. You should start to hear some of these bounces. Okay, and number 4, as open as possible. Middle finger, all the goodness. Fantastic. Now, as you're going through this, you may notice there's a lot to keep track of. You are right. So each time you go through this, just pick one thing to really focus on. So one day you may just hyper-focus on that middle finger, that springiness, that squeeze. The next day you might hyper-focus on your arm movements. Then the next maybe placement on the drum head or pad. So you don't have to focus on everything at once, at least not at first. So 30 seconds times the 4 iterations times 2 hands gets us 4 minutes, right? It's only 4 minutes. The key to improving is deliberate and focused practice and consistency. So really try to practice every day, 4 minutes, okay? If you tell me you don't have 4 minutes, you're a big old liar because you're watching this video. Now, go practice, do what you know is right, and I'll see you in the next one.